Francisco since the 2000 season. A lot of folks talking about this Niners team, thinking that they can be dangerous in the coming months. This Chargers offense has been anything but dangerous in the first quarter. They've been awful. They haven't scored the first quarter since week 5. Their very first drive, boom, right down the field. Justin Herbert, DeAndre Carter at 7-0. It's now 13-3. Jimmy Garoppolo trying to make a play. What a toss to Ray McCloud. Gain of 33. Niners on the move. Then they get down there right up on the goal line, and Garoppolo sneaks it in himself. It's 13-10. Ensuing Chargers possession, trying to get some points on the board right before halftime. Herbert scrambles, and this looked bad as he sort of spun around. And then Drake Greenlaw with the contact. He was ejected from the game. Herbert would have to come out and be evaluated for a concussion, which meant it was Chase Daniel, not just for a snap, but for the remainder of the possession. And on 3rd down, after Daniel tried a couple of screens to Eckler, he's sacked by Jordan Willis, and Herbert has to wait for the second half to get back out on the field. Chargers do get the field goal at 16-10. Niners cut that in half, make it 16-13, and then Garoppolo finds Brandon Ayuk, who's down there close. You see the Chargers are trying to get somebody out there on the field. They were flagged, and the touchdown for Christian McCaffrey counts, and the Niners have now gone in front for the first time in the evening. 3rd and 10, Chargers are backed up late, and Trey McKitty stopped short of the first down. Now, you're backed up, you got 3 first downs, but go for it on 4th and 3. That's what they do, and you see the rush gets to Herbert, and he's incomplete. Now, the chance to put it away, and this was of great interest to a lot of people that were back on the Chargers. Instead, Elijah Mitchell, who's back out and running hard, stopped short. Niners elect to kick the field goal, so now a touchdown could beat them. Instead, again, it's the Niner rush that gets to Herbert. The ball flutters, and Talanoa Hufanga, who has been a big-time playmaker all season long, makes another. That's his 4th pick. That seals the Niners' victory. Coach Shanahan reacts on the comeback win.
I was proud of our team today. I want to play better. I want to blow people out. I want to score every time we go. But those are the type of games that team is really good at winning. The Chargers. I think they've had 4 out of their 5 games, or their wins, they've been behind by 2 scores. You watched Atlanta last week and how they went up and down the field and moved the ball a lot, but those guys are tough to get in the end zone against, and they did that to us today, but we still found a way to win.
Now, we didn't win, but the effort and the physicality tonight, the toughness of our team, that was good enough. That was what I expect, in terms of going nose to nose with a good team. There was our group didn't back down tonight. Our team was the aggressor, all right, and it just didn't go down in the second half. But we need to get rested up, and we got another big one next week.
3 weeks ago, this Niner defense allowed 30 points in the second half to the Chiefs. Since then, they've not allowed a single point after halftime. Rams and Chargers managed just 110 yards of offense in those 60 minutes of football. You know who signed? Hi there, welcome. This is Sports Center from the nation's capital. I'm Scott Van Pelt. A memorable NFL Sunday which began in Munich and ended in Santa Clara. In between, the Packers stunned the Cowboys in Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau. Why I believe he made a critical decision in overtime that was a mistake. Colts with an inspiring victory in Vegas that left their quarterback Derek Carr on the verge of tears, a reaction that you'll want to hear if you've not already. And every once in a while, a game is played that we'll be talking about more than just Monday and Tuesday, maybe for years to come. And we got that game on Sunday of Week 10 in the National Football League in Buffalo. A runaway winner for the best. Entire conversation all day Monday and all week long is different, but they didn't. Now 8-1 Minnesota deserves every bit of credit they are earning by virtue of every single one of these one-score wins. They are stacking one on top of another. Reaction begins from Kevin O'Connell following this roller coaster ride.
Pretty unbelievable football game to be a part of. There's a lot of moments in that game where I'm trying to think back and process to find a way to have more points in the end of the day. I'm going to remember this one forever, guys, I'm telling you.
I told everybody this is our season. This means this is our season. for us to win out and to go to the Super Bowl. So we just got to keep working, take on week by week, go in there, fix our mistakes, and get ready for the Cowboys.
Look at us now.
Okay.
Look at us now. And that's all I can say. All we want to do is continuing. We're not trying to prove them or they wrong. We just want to continue to prove ourselves right each and every time we step out on the field, because we feel that we are a really good football team that believe in one another, and it showed again today.
We call this do your research. This is maybe just here's some context. This was the first time a team went from trailing to leading on a last-minute defensive touchdown since Herm Edwards' miracle at the Meadowlands back in 1978. It took an extra period, but the Vikings did what they have done all year. They gritted this out. Each of their last 7 victories have been a one-score victory, tying the 2020 Chiefs for the longest streak in NFL history. And just juxtapose that with how they were performing in one-score games a season ago. On the other end, Josh Allen, a couple of chances, 2 red zone picks, giving him an NFL worst 4 on the season. All those have come in Buffalo's last 3 games. In those same 3 games, he's got 0 passing touchdowns in the second half. Here's Allen on how they bounce back after this.
It comes down to my shoulders and my shoulders only, making the right decisions, making the right throws, putting our best foot forward in practice. This one's going to suck watching. Only ways forward. We gotta find a way to put this behind us and not let it affect our next one.
These games are close games, and again, we had opportunities to win. That's what makes it sting. We were right there, and again, we got sloppy with the football. So we gotta. This is the journey of a season. So you gotta pull yourself back together, find out the reasons why, make the adjustments, and move forward.
4th and 22. Knock the ball down, bro. Like, I'm not a selfish player. I don't try to be a selfish player. I'm always trying to, put the team before me. You just got to knock the ball down. That's plain and simple. Got another situation. We knock the ball down, we win.
Tim Hasselbeck is here. There's a lot, okay? So let's try to narrow this down to some things that you can really help us understand. Let's start with the snap that Allen is unable to handle in the end zone and why it's such a difficult play to execute.
It's not a typical just snap from under center, and the reason is this. When you're in a goal line or short yardage situation, the defensive line, they're submarining the center. And so the center naturally, to protect himself and also fire off the ball, he'll change his stance. And you see how the ball never gets secured. The location in terms of where he snaps the ball then changes. It's always unsettling as a quarterback taking a snap in those environments because you're not totally sure where the ball will end up. And so when you're backed up like that and you got to sneak and they know that's what you're trying to do. Look, Mitch Morse is also trying to fire off the ball and protect himself.
It's just such an amazing juxtaposition because all of Buffalo is smiling and they're celebrating, and all you got to do is execute the snaps. And then we ended up playing for another hour or so, it seemed. Now, I used the word trust earlier. I want to narrow that down to just the quarterbacks because it feels like on the one hand, Allen, MVP candidate, there's a lot to love. And on the other hand, there's Cousins who I feel like people live to criticize, even though there's plenty of reasons not to. Let's start with Allen and trust. Yeah. This isn't an indictment of him by any stretch. But in the red zone, where these issues keep popping up, what do you make of that?
Well, I think what I would make of it is he's naturally aggressive, and he's been successful being naturally aggressive. Mm-hmm. And a little bit like Patrick Mahomes at the beginning of last year. He was doing some things that you don't do, but he was getting away with it. And I think that can happen sometimes. I just think when you look at the 4th and 2, he's just trying to not take a sack. Okay, I get it. This one's inexplicable, though. And for a guy that is ranks in the bottom of the league in terms of red zone interceptions, but yet is viewed as maybe the best in the game, those things just don't align. And so at some point, you have to say, all right, well, do we have to just dial you back a little bit on that if you're the Bills with the aspirations they have?
But just like Mahomes, I'd counter and say you get what you get on the top floor because of who he is, right?
Yes, and if you were going to ask me, you can choose one. Would he be the guy? He probably would be.
But it is quite
hard to watch.
The juxtaposition's amazing.
Yes.
On the other side, the types of plays that Kirk Cousins makes in this game, the types of throws, and sure, Jefferson makes an incredible catch. Yes, deserves all the credit. But how much trust is Cousins earning as they continue to win one-score game after one-score game?
I think he needs to be viewed differently because his locker room clearly views him differently than the criticism that's really surrounded him for a long time, which is why everyone's kind of celebrating him the way they are on their flights home. Here's what's interesting. What they are doing, I think, translates. Why are we doubting them when they are doing the little things? What do I mean by that? Jefferson, outside release on an in-breaking route. A lot of times that's a no-no because you can't beat the leverage back inside. He's got the ability to do it, and then it's an accurate throw. How about pass protection, not just your offensive line? How about your star running back being a stud in pass protection to allow for things to happen in the passing game? And then how about your quarterback staring down the gun barrel? I heard the inflection in your voice in the highlight. That is as big time as any of the studs that we talk about playing the position. So I think that when you say, hey, are they for real? Well, I don't know. Do they do the things that really good teams do? I mean, they did on the road against a team we thought was maybe the best in the AFC.
They're 8-1. Right? They're 8-1. And what a football game. And the thing that's so amazing is every conversation you and I and everybody on our network and every other network will be having from now throughout the rest of the week is a 180 if they can execute the snap on the goal line. And this incredible game would have been Buffalo's way. It's not. It's Minnesota's, and it keeps being Minnesota's. They got Dallas next week. More to come with you a little bit later. Speaking of Dallas, the Packers ruined Mike McCarthy's trip to Lambeau.